I wanted to talk a little bit about Illari's nerfs and how it's affected her as a hero. So let's start off by saying Illari is 100% in a better space now than she was. Like before, just released, I find it normal that they're trying to hype her up a little bit by having her on the strong side. With that said, there were definitely a couple of spots where Illari was overly balanced. One of the ones I found like almost immediately was how fast she could charge her ultimate. That thing charged up so freaking fast, and I think it was too much. By nerfing the healing output that she can have, that has indirectly nerfed her ultimate charge. There hasn't actually been any changes to her ultimate charge, but I think it's probably fine now. The ultimate's balance is pretty good in my opinion. It has extreme potential. You can hit a bunch of different people all at the same time. You can blow up a bunch of people all at the same time, but you have to avoid countless amounts of counter abilities. You have to be able to track that. You need to be able to get over the top of something like Diva's Matrix or Orissa's Spin, because those can be countered by going around them, but your hitbox is massive. And you have to then also, once you have applied the effect onto targets, you then have to trigger them. And most of the time, these people are not going to be hanging around. They're going to be running away, and it's going to require aim. It's going to require some skill to be able to pull it off. If you can pull it off, though, if you do tick all of the skill boxes, it is very, very powerful, and I enjoy that. It's very, very good for setting up great plays, especially if you're communicating with your team where your team does some of the damage for you, so you don't have to do a full 90 anymore. You can have someone who's a little bit easier to aim with, maybe Bastion, who can just spam, and it becomes a lot easier to set many, many people off at once. So for the ultimate, the only thing I would change is the projectile size. Just make that smaller so it doesn't get eaten up by abilities that don't look like they should eat it up because it's really far away, but somehow still manage to. And once you've changed that, I think the ult is in a very good spot. Very powerful in the right hands, but very easy to completely mess it up, you know? On the other side, one of the other things I think was overpowered was the healing pylon. It was doing so much healing, which was indirectly making her ultimate charge so much faster. I've even, like, I showcased a little bit of a clip in the balance update, which I did on my guides channel. You can physically see like 0% right up to almost 20% in the space of like 10 or 15 seconds, just because I had my healing pylon and some additional healing going at the same time. I feel like the changes to her healing pylon going from 40 to 30 per burst, honestly, I kind of like it. Don't get me wrong, like having 40 was great. You could just throw this pylon out anywhere and you would be healing everyone up to full health in a matter of seconds. It was great, but it's not balanced. It was putting far too much pressure on the enemy team to go ahead and, you know, dive that pillar, because there ain't nothing happening until you've dived that pillar. The pylon is still very good. Even at, I think it's calculated to 37.5 heals per second now. Like, that's still a good amount. Considering you can just throw this out, it's going to instantly target the nearest hurt ally, like the most hurt ally within its range. And you can just put it down and forget about it. As long as you pop it in a good spot, you can just have it there. And the bonus is it still does this while you're dead. That is one of the great benefits of this pylon. I feel like what they have changed it with is like a sweet spot. I think if you nerfed it more, it would be very underwhelming. And if you were to increase it, I think it's going to go back into the realm of potentially becoming overpowered. As for its range and stuff, I think it's pretty well balanced, quite honestly. It does limit where you can put the healing pylon, but that's a good thing. If you could just put it anywhere and the range was like infinite, it wouldn't be fun. It's not a great mechanic if it can just go physically anywhere. I think the 125 health is perfect where it is. It avoids being casually one-shot by, you know, some stray rockets, whether it is soldier's rockets, whether it's a widow shot. It saves you from that without being unkillable. I think the 125 is in a perfect spot, so I would just maybe increase the amount of shields, take it from the health instead, and that would be perfect. In terms of Illari's actual damage output, honestly, I think it's fine. The one potential tweak I could see coming is not to how much damage she does or how fast or like simple stats like that. Is going to be in her projectile size. I feel like the projectile size is wildly different to other similar DPS heroes. You take some other hit scan heroes, the projectile size isn't quite as big. We went through and we tested this, and it's like twice as big as Ashe's projectile size. It makes it easier to hit your shots, but again, this is going to be like a very interesting stat to change, because the more you make it small, the more difficult it's going to be to land your shots, and less you're going to be able to do with Illari's kit, because there is so much of a balance between damage and healing. If it wasn't so focused on also doing damage, it could probably be fine. Like, you can two-shot squishies. There are so many things that already two-shot, like even one-shot. Illari is not the fastest by any means. You really do have to wait for that charge to come up. If you do wait for the charge to come up, you are rewarded if you can hit your shots. If you miss, if your aim isn't on point, then that's when you start getting screwed over. So honestly, like, I wouldn't change her damage output at all. As for the secondary, I think the secondary is beautifully balanced. I really do. So it gives you a huge outburst of healing, but it comes with a charge up time. It comes with a limited total amount. It comes with a cooldown if you use it too much. You really do have to start balancing that as and when needed. And yeah, sure, it can absolutely carry a play. It can save a moment. But again, it's all coming down to, did you save it up enough? Did you use it at the right time? All of these factors come into play. And again, it all adds to the fact that you need skill to be able to play Illari very well. If you are able to keep on top of your charge, if you are able to use it at the right time, you're going to be hugely rewarded for it again. And I think this is just like the theme with Illari. You are rewarded for being skillful with it, basically.